Welcome, everyone. My name is Torres Legend. Thank you so much for joining us in our first episode of 2024 of the SAP BTP Garage series. We are happy to bring you the mission Empower Data-Driven Decisions Through Analytics Forecasting. Our guest speakers today are my colleagues Naveen Krishnan Manohar, Development Architect, and Abdulkader Abdulaziz, Customer Solution Adoption Senior Specialist at SAP BTP. Today's mission can be found in the Discovery Center. So if you just quickly do a search, we'll provide the links to you afterwards, along with several other links as well. Our speakers, like I said, it'll be my colleagues Abdulkader and Naveen. Before we get started, I just want to let you guys know some upcoming webinars that we're currently bringing to you. On January the 31st, we're going to have our final iteration of the migrating ESR proxies. And this will be for the Asia Pacific and Japan time zone. So we've already done 2 iterations of this. You can find the recordings in our events hub. I'll put that in the chat if you're interested in listening to that, among other webinars that we've done already this year. We are currently bringing you a 6-episode series on SAP BTP Unveiled, a concise exploration of the latest updates. We've already done episode 1, how to maximize the business potential with SAP BTP, which was held on January the 18th. And these are all YouTube live streams, so you can find them on YouTube. But I'll show you the link as well where you can access that. Our next one will be on February the 8th, SAP BTP AI, Vision and Strategy, Unleashing the Power of Gen AI on SAP BTP. Again, I'll put all of the links for these in the chat if you're interested in registering and being on the list for the upcoming sessions. And then finally, we have two episodes, one in each time zone, on February the 13th and the 20th, Boost Operational Efficiency with SAP AI Business Services. We are working diligently to try to bring you other webinars, but this is what we have right now in our offerings. Also, as awareness and enablement initiatives, we've got a number of things that you can tap into. The Ask Me Anything, along with what's new with SAP BTP. These are quarterly live series. There's 60 minutes, SAP BTP InnoBytes, a monthly video series that's provided to you. And then finally, Elevate Your Skills in the SAP BTP Garage. So use cases and hands, which is our offering here monthly. Also, part of the Awareness and Enablement initiatives, the SAP BTP Talk. Again, it's a monthly podcast. And finally, innovations, highlights from the BTP technology platform. It's a quarterly blog posting that you can have access to. And finally, our monthly newsletter, SAP BTP monthly newsletter. So there's a wide variety of information that we are offering you guys for you to stay in the know on what's happening in BTP today and tomorrow. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to Naveen and Kader to do our mission. Naveen, you're on mute.
Yeah, thanks, Torres. Yeah, thanks for the nice introduction. Hello, everyone. My name is Abdulaziz Abdelkader, and I am from SAP Technology and Innovation Organization. In my role as a customer solution adoption, we explore innovative SAP BTP end-to-end scenario as part of SAP Intelligent Enterprise. And today, together with my colleague Naveen, we are excited to share with you our experience in adding SAP Analytics Cloud forecast feature to an extension application built on SAP BTP platform. So let me first share my screen.
Yeah, I can see your screen coming up.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. Okay, so just a moment. There it is.
So just for you guys to, while Kader is setting up, the recording for today's session and the presentation material will be made available to you guys for downloading afterwards, so you don't need to take any screenshots. We'll provide that to you afterwards. Thanks. Go ahead, Kader.
Yeah, okay, so I will stop my camera a moment because it will eat up my bandwidth for the sharing. So and then we can start it. So first, before we deep dive into our end-to-end analytics scenario, let's first have a look at the main major use case used in predictive planning and forecasting. So the first use case is expense and risk analysis to manage companies' budget forecast while evaluating the potential risk associated with investment, contract, and other business decisions. It answers questions like, how will my expense evolve? The second use case is revenue and sales planning to predict sales, customer demand, and inventory levels. A typical question to answer is what will be the revenue forecast per business unit. And the third use case is workforce planning to plan a staffing level and optimize employee performance, and answer the question like how many employees might leave due to retirement next year, for example. Another remark worth to add is that predictive planning doesn't replace human expertise. Instead, it serves as a powerful tool that helps planners make more informed and confident decisions. The accuracy and likelihood of a predictive forecast depend on two key factors, namely the quality of the data and how well the stability of the situation persists. So let's take a look now at the business scenario we will use in today's Discovery Center mission. Our principal actor of this scenario is John. John leads the role of Senior Risk Manager Analyst in Financial Controller Office. He identifies and analyzes various risks, business and financials, to actively steer his company's investment strategies towards better decisions. John works for a food delivery platform with several vendors to deliver food to their customers. And when a service delivery issues arise, such as late deliveries or good delivered in unacceptable condition to customers, John calculates the risk cost for each vendor in each first of every month using a spreadsheet application. And now let's take a look at how a typical risk manager day looks like. So John struggles every day with all the reporting process, which is slow, inaccurate, and depends heavily on the IT department. And IT department, it takes a while to deliver John's reporting request. And as a result, John gets frustrated with this situation. After conducting some research in the SAP Discovery Center, John found a risk management application built on business technology platform, where he can enter risk cost and mitigations related to each partner. John easily built on top of the risk management applications analytics insight to explore a partner data using a cloud solution called SAP Analytics Cloud. And consequently, John can now generate his own reporting dashboard while accessing the data in real time from the source system and make confident and intelligent decision to communicate recommendation timely to management. John is very happy with the speed and quality of the report. This is how the proposal solutions architecture diagram looks like. In this scenario, we are using the following cloud-based services. We have the Cloud Foundry runtime with a BTP global account, the HANA Cloud service for data persistence, and we have connectivity service to connect and fetch the business partner data from the S/4HANA backend into BTP. We have also SAP Build Work Zone Standard Edition to provide a central point of access to SAP applications. We have SAP Business Application Studio to provide and develop a cloud-based professional development tool to build and extend cloud application. And also we have an identity provider service to provide authentication and single sign-on for users to access the application in the cloud, from BTP to SAP Analytics Cloud to S/4HANA. And last but not least, we have SAP Enterprise Cloud Tenant Edition to design chart and analytics dashboard. Let's go now through the steps required to build this solution. In step 1, with the help of the system admin, we connect to the backend S/4HANA to fetch business partner data or use a mock server application built on CAP. In our scenario, in the mission, we will use a mock server to speed up the mission implementation and limit the scope of troubleshooting to only cloud services. In step 2, the professional developer install and customize the application, the risk management application, using SAP Business Application Studio by adding analytic artifacts module like the calculations views and views. In step 3, the professional developer will deploy the app to the cloud, the Foundry runtime. And in step 4, with the help of SAP Analytics Cloud systems, he will set up an SSO live connection between SAP HANA Cloud and SAC to get the data in real time. And in step 5, the citizen developer can explore the data from SAP HANA Cloud in real time with dynamic visualization changing on the fly. And he can also design interactive analytics dashboard and report for himself or others. And in step 6, we will seamlessly integrate analytics dashboard in SAP Fiori Launchpad from the SAP Analytics Cloud. And last but not least, step 7, a business user, in our case, the risk manager, can access the SAP Launchpad from any applications, client application and mobile application. So now let's move or list quickly the key advantage of the solution. As we have said before, we will have a real-time access to extension business application using live data connection. Here, HANA is the main part, and also the adapter from SAC instead of using or setting up the old adapter HANA Analytics adapter, which require a procedure of 13 steps to install. So this is mainly is done in 3 steps. Then we have the Launchpad service, where we can access all the application from one dashboard. We will have also a SAP Business Application Studio, where we can develop and customize our applications with this tools. Then we'll all have SAP Analytics Cloud, where we can have access to all the data and business logic. Business analysts also can turn formally hidden insight into well-advised actions and it could be used from the citizen developers. Last but not least, we have the identity provider. A single identity provider will serve as a central component to maintain and verify your identity. It will authenticate you against a SAP HANA Cloud, BTP, S/4HANA Cloud system, and SAP Analytics frontend by only verifying your identity once. So now let's move to the mission walkthrough, and for this I hand over to Naveen. To you, Naveen.
Thank you. Let me share my screen.
Nice option.
Please confirm if the screen is visible.
Yeah. Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, let's go to a mission walkthrough on our dashboard directly. So this is a SAP Discovery Center, and which comes to a mission: empower data-driven decisions through analytics forecasting. And in the overview section, we have provided the use case, what is this challenge and the outcome, and what is the solution we try to solve, which already Abdul Qadir has discussed in the introduction slides. So moving on to the project board. So we have divided the cards into different phases. Start from the discover phase, where you would learn all the basic requirements which is needed to run this mission. And then the prepare section talks about preparing your accounts and setup, where we will give us the information how do you set up the project and run it in an SAP Business Application Studio. And the develop section starts about the development aspects for this mission. So let's go through individual phases. Like I mentioned, for the discover, first, initially we gave the instructions, how do you use this mission? And in case of questions, how do you reach us with the support channel? And moving on, we also discussed the goal and the outcome of this mission. And there are other helpful sections to learn the basics of SAP BTP. And the interesting or the core main important thing for this mission is how to learn about creating the calculation views in SAP HANA Cloud and SAP S/4HANA Cloud. And then how do you design a story with SAP Analytics Cloud. So all these cards are filled with quite some information from different channels like SAP Community, tutorial missions, learning journey, blogs, webinars, and so on. So this will give quite the knowledge to start with this, begin with this mission, and then go forward with the other sections. In the prepare section, we provide us the prerequisites. In this case, we need an SAP BTP global account with a Cloud Foundry runtime and then SAP Analytics Cloud. We also use SAP S/4HANA Cloud system, the business partner API, but then we made it optional because we also provide a mock server, which exposes the similar API business partner related entities and the APIs, so that you can speed your development and have in place in case you find difficulty in running an S/4HANA Cloud system. So the prerequisites from the BTP section, we need Cloud Foundry runtime, and along with few subscriptions like the SAP Build Work Zone, SAP Business Application Studio, which is our go-to tool for the Web ID kind of a development, and then SAP HANA Cloud and the destination servers. So this whole mission is an extension from an existing risk management application. So we start by cloning or downloading the particular risk management application, and then we enhance this application on top of it. Moving on to the next, we also talk about other things. How do you really configure your S/4HANA Cloud system? How do you set up your communication arrangements and connectivity between the BTP and the SAP S/4HANA Cloud? With the main setup part, this starts with configuring the global account and sub account with the necessary entitlements, which we described in the prerequisites. And then once we have all these subscriptions running, then we start with the setting up the SAP Business Application Studio. And yeah, I have one open here. So Business Application Studio comes up with the predefined development spaces. So in this mission, we recommend to use an SAP HANA native application as the dev space because it includes all the necessary extensions related to HANA, like the HANA calculation view editor, database explorer, and so on. In case if you already have a different workspace like full stack cloud application, we recommend to install the additional SAP extensions for the SAP HANA calculation view editor and the SAP HANA tools. Okay. Next is setting up the bill work zone. Bill work zone is a digital workplace that it offers a centralized access for our business applications. So in this mission, once we deploy our application, we then add it to the bill work zone so that we can access all our different applications like the risk management itself and all your storyboards from the SAC or the Analytics Cloud at one single entry point. Then the next step is installing a mock server. The mock server, like mentioned earlier, is nothing but a CAP-based application which exposes only the required API business partner related data. So that the steps includes how do you deploy this application and then add a destination in the BTP sub account. Moving to the main develop section. So here again, we mentioned the entry point is a risk management application, and then we extend the analytics part on top of it. So the initial steps includes how do you really set up this application in the SAP Business Application Studio. And then we enhance this risk management application with additional custom logic and as well as with the sample data sets. Because you cannot run analytics without historical data. For this reason, we have provided a CSV file with certain historical data about the business partner and their risk impacts so that we can easily run analytics on top of it. Next is deploying the application to the Cloud Foundry environment. And the risk management application itself, what we are talking about is a CAP-based application. So we will be doing a multi-target archive-based deployment. Let me quickly walk through this application. So the risk management application, we have an empty YAML, which is the deployment descriptor here, and all the modules is being separated as microservices. We have a service DB deployer, and then the UI for the very elements-based HTML5 application. So all these are being built into a multi-target archive, an MTAR file, and then finally we do deploy MTA archive just from the Business Application Studio, so it deploys to the Cloud Foundry runtime environment. Okay, so the next is, so next thing is once we deploy the application, there are steps to integrate it to the SAP Build Work Zone. And this really has the steps. How do you access the Content Explorer? So in this case, we are using an HTML5 application to be the content provider here. And we provide the steps, how you can add these applications to your Build Work Zone Launchpad. The next interesting part is how do we add the calculation views to the risk management application. So in this case, to create views and the calculation views, we use the HANA tools itself, which is part of the Business Application Studio. And let's go ahead and create one sample calculation view. I can go to view, find command palette, and here we can search for create HANA data artifacts. So create SAP HANA database artifact. And this extensions allows us to create multiple number of artifacts like an analytic privilege, calculation views, and there are a lot of different artifacts you can actually create for the SAP HANA Cloud. In our case, we'll be choosing the calculation view. Let's give a name, calc view. Create. So once the view file artifact is created, it goes into the modeler where we can actually model this calculation view. So I'll pull a projection here. And this will ask us to choose the data source. Since we have deployed the risk management application, we have the HANA HDI container where the database artifacts are deployed. So we can look for the view, existing views. We choose that to be a data source. Okay. And we can actually select which columns to be part of this projection. For example, I can add all the columns as part of my projection. And from this, I can quickly create a join for the aggregation. And similarly, can choose the aggregation column attributes. And finally, I can choose the measure I wanted as part of the semantics. For example, could be an impact for the risk which has occurred. And once this is done, we can, there is no need to again redeploy the application. Instead, we can directly go ahead for the SAP HANA projects and look for the calculation view which we created and directly click on the deploy. And this will deploy only the particular calculation view which we have already designed here. So I've already deployed an existing one. In case we wish to see a data preview, we can already see how these comes up. Let's go here and quickly look at the data preview. So I have my attributes and measures. I'll pull the business partner name and I would like to see my impact as the measure. And here we can already see the analytics for the data which we have imported. So this is from the BTP side. And now from the next step, we will talk about how we can create a live data connection in SAP Analytics Cloud with the HANA Cloud database, which we use for risk management, and further how the storyboard can be created in the SAP Analytics Cloud. For this, I would ask Abdul Qadir to take us forward.
Okay, thanks, Navin, for this explanation. I will share my screen again. Just let me know. Okay.
Yep, we can see your screen.
Okay, you see. Okay, so let's see. So you see the SAP Discovery Center?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So basically, now let's move to the next step where we want to be able to create our stories in SAP Analytics. First, we should go through the following steps. So the steps here are to create, after we have added the calculation view to risk management application shown by Navin, now we will move to create a live data connection in SAP Analytics Cloud to ensure that users always have real-time data access to the most up-to-date information. So here basically it shows where we have to act, in which service we want to work or involved in these steps. And then here also it shows all the prerequisites for this connectivity to be set up. So mainly here we need some technical information from the SAP HANA, and all this information can be found in SAC dashboard. So if we want to go here, we go to connections, and then we can here have a live create a new one or modify the ones it exists. Here we have the HANA Live SSO already created, and here we can show all the information related to the database we wanted to access. Next, we can move to next card. We can we set up the test between SAP HANA Cloud and SAP Analytics. It helps us to simplify the management of user access permissions and eliminate the need for users to enter their credential multiple times when opening the SAP Analytics Cloud chart. And for this, we have all the steps. We should upload the certificate we get from the SAC live connection prompt, and we have to create a SAM identity provider and create a certificate collections, map the SAP Analytics user to SAP HANA Cloud user. We should create the same users in the SAC and SAP HANA, and then set permissions and get role to the SAP HANA Cloud data. So all these steps are well explained with a screenshot how to do it step by step. And next here step, we will create a live data model in SAP Analytics Cloud. This is created based on the calculation view we have already deployed in SAP HANA. So basically, we will have this form where we create a model from the live data. Let's see if we go to modeler, and then we create a live data model, and from here we select the system type HANA, the connections, which is we have already created HANA Live SSO, and then here it lists the calculation views we have already deployed in SAP HANA Cloud. Okay, so here we can click OK, and we get our models already with the fields we have already set. In this case, we have the impact and sum of the impact. Then next card, it will be we create story in SAP Analytics Cloud on a live data model. Here we can see that we follow the steps about the stories. You can see the main menu, how to create a story. We go to Canvas, and then we select classical design experience. And then here we select add data. And from add data, we will select the model we have already created in the step before existing models. And then we select the model from this one. And then here we find ourselves in the canvas where we can design our dashboard. Okay. So the next step is to go through to add a bar chart in SAP Analytics Cloud. And in this case, For the bar chart, our risk manager want to answer the following questions about it. So let's see here. I have already designed this bar chart of type bar columns, and here it shows the axis, the horizontal axis, which is related to the partners' names, and the vertical axis, which is the amount of the impact. And as you can see here, we have the partner Waldorf and Logistic Corp, which are accumulating the higher risk impact from this bar chart. But before implementing any mitigation measure with those partners, the risk manager decided to deep dive into his finding to understand how the risk cost might evolve in the next quarter for those partners. And for this, we will add next card is to add a time series chart, which is a list of value impact amount plotted on an axis of date. So let's see here our okay, this is the risk forecast per partners, where we can select for the edit. Let's see what is in. Let's see the designer, how it could be made. So we have this chart with type from the trend. I mean, let's see if we can. The trend, it's type of time series, which is series of data impact, in this case, plotted on the axis of the date. So here we have the horizontal line axis with all the date. We have also the measures. It needs two things. The measures here, we have to choose the impact, what we have inserted in the calculation view, and the create date here, time. So basically to activate the algorithm for the forecast, we should select, go to the three dot, and then add forecast. We have added here automatic forecast, and there is also other algorithm, linear, triple regression, triple exponential smoothing, and add additional input. So we have opted for the easy one, automatic forecast. Then once we add it, we will have this forecast where we will also have the forecast periods. Here we have put only 3, and we have the maximum of 8. And take note that the period, it depends, the number of the period, it depends on the historical data, how long you have put the data. For example, if you have put the data for 1 year, you will get 3 months of forecasting. So this is mainly how it works. And then we have the forecast qualities based on the data. We will have 1 to 5 measures, and 5 is the highest quality forecast. So this is mainly to have an idea about the confidence of the forecast. We have also here when we have also the forecast values here, where we can have the upper confidence bound and the lower confidence bound of the forecast. At the bottom, there is a tooltip, and with this data point, which represent the middle value of the confidence. Also, we have this line, dotted line, which represent the forecast in the historical data, because as you can see here, we are on a January 2024, and here the data, all this data, it's historical, and then next is the forecasting for February and March and so on. So basically, this dotted lines represent the forecasting for the historical data, and it shows how well it matches to the real data, which is the complete line here. We have also the possibility to choose a shorter period of 3 months, 6 months, a year to date, or all. Okay, so this also the possibility also to select with the slide bar a specific time frame and see what happened in details. Back to our risk manager use case. So he filtered the first a partner here with only the Waldorf Corp, which has the most higher risk impact. Then and he see that he noted that there is a pattern for the partner Waldorf Corp started to decline steadily during the last years until it arrived to quite 30,000 in January, and then he see that it will be also going to decline in the next month. And once we have done this backward-looking analysis, we see that we turn to the future in this case if things keep on going in the same direction as they currently do, and this is the case. And therefore, the next quarter, it will be the impact quite zero or null, and with a very high confidence here for the forecast, or for the forecast quality. Next, after identifying the partners who accumulated the high risk cost over times, let's go back and select all the partners. The risk manager can take some actions. For example, reporting the status of risk impact to partner involved in food delivery, like a logistic corp, which have here an increase in the future, like a logistic corp and Leonard Corp, or delegate part of the food delivery activity to another partner who has accumulated less risk impact, like the partner Food Corp here in the blue, which has quite a null impact. And the third option is to replace or terminate the working relationship with the partner causing a high risk cost. This is mainly the data decision action that's the risk manager can take using this forecast. Next, next card, it is about integrating the analytic stories in SAP Build Work Zone. In this case, we will have the solution here. Let's go to a SAP account just to show how well it is integrated. So basically here we go to the content manager, and then here we add an apps for each dashboard. we have, or story. In this case, we have a risk analysis per partner and total risk per partner. And here we will take the URL. We shared this URL is copied from, I think from here. We can take this URL, share, and then copy this URL and put it in the, let's see where we have here content manager. Yeah, we can put it in the URL. This is mainly how it works. Then we create a risk management group where we group all the apps we want to see or have the same scope, and then we also assign roles to the persons who want to access such application. Okay? And this is mainly what we have. And here we can access the application Launchpad, where we have the risk management application already deployed. Just a moment, we see all the data we have. And then we also have total risk analysis per partner, which opens the story. Yeah. And then also the risk analysis forecast per partner we have already. And that's all. That's make our scenario is at the end. So thank you all for your time spent with us today on this webinar on Empower Data-Driven Decisions through Analytics Forecasting. I hope you found the information presented valuable. I will only encourage you to go through it. And if you need any help, just let us know. Please feel free to ask any question you have.
Okay.
To you, Taurus.
Great. Thank you, Kader. Thank you, Kader, and thank you, Naveen, for a great session. So if you guys have any questions for either Kader or Naveen, please do type your question, or just raise your hand in the tool for me to call upon you to unmute your line. In the meantime, I've just opened a poll. We'd just like to get sort of your feel on a couple of questions that we'd like you to answer. Your feedback is incredibly important to us. So if you can just fill out the questions in the poll, that would be great. And in the meantime, if you have any questions for our speakers, please do type your question in the chat or in the Q&A. I see something in the Q&A already. So from Sachin, thanks, Naveen. Just a quick related question: in which step is this RM forecasting model was trained and deployed? So maybe Naveen, if you want to answer that, or Kader.
Yeah, so basically, risk management of the forecasting model is part of SAP Analytics Cloud. It is its own algorithm and it's running there. So it's a part of SAP Analytics. When the data, the algorithm start the forecasting side, it will collect all the data. Then the model dynamically calculate based on specific algorithm. Yeah, so there is no, it is there in the SAP Analytics Cloud. Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks for that. Thanks for the question. So if you guys have any additional questions, this is the time to ask our experts. And also, if there are specific missions that you'd like us to showcase for you guys in the next couple of months, please do let us know. I mean, we're always looking for what you guys want what you guys want us to present in terms of what missions you'd like to see. So that would be very, very helpful in our planning for the coming months. I don't see any specific questions. So the DataSphere mission, yes, okay, great. So what's the best way, Kader or Naveen, what's the best way for people to ramp up with this mission? What would you suggest?
Yeah, I think that's the main goal of this mission is how to use an extension application on BTP. First, this is a must, and then after the next step is to add the artifact for analytics, like views, calculation views. I think that's starting with how to build a CAP application, like a golden path. We have a lot of helpful repositories there in the development section of SAP developer. I think it is nice to start there.
Okay, great. Okay. And there's some frequently asked questions that customers usually ask us, what is the difference between acquired and live data?
Okay, so the acquired data is imported or copied and stored in SAP Analytics Cloud. And acquired data set have already been prepared on the server, for example, like TXT, CSV, and XLS. And live data, it's stored in the source system, and it's relative to SAP Analytics Cloud. It's copied to SAP Analytics Cloud. So any changes in the source data are available immediately if no structural changes are brought to the table or SQL view. The difference here is that live data, it's not copied to SAP Analytics Cloud. It is on SAP HANA, and acquired data, it's copied on SAC. Yeah.
Okay. Satish, I see that you've unmuted yourself. Did you want to ask an audio question to the team?
Yes, if I may go back to that previous question there, where Kader mentioned that the focus of this mission is the extension applications. And I had a question there as to how can we compare analytics applications developed on BTP versus the built-in analytics capabilities in SAC. So in other words, how can we decide where we develop an application on BTP versus what's in SAC? Thank you.
So basically, you want to develop an application, and you are asking which analytic you want to use?
No, I'm going to what you said before, where you develop an analytics application on BTP, right?
Yeah.
So how does that alternative compare with the built-in capabilities in the Analytics Cloud?
So let's say it in this way. We have two ways to develop analytics for an extension application. We can use Fiori elements, list view, for example. You don't need SAC to do that. You just use list views and so on from Fiori element. That's okay. And then we have the possibility to use SAC to build a dashboard, to build stories and so on, which is independent from, completely independent from the extension application. It's the product apart. As you can see here also, what we have used to connect SAC to the HANA database only. It's not connected to CAP or the extension application. We get the data from the extension application, which write and store all the data in SAP Analytics, SAP HANA Cloud. And from there, we get we connect SAC and get our dashboard and stories.
Yeah,
Okay,
just
yeah,
to
thanks.
add to Kader, so the extension application, which is part of BTP, where we'd like to, depending on the use cases, you would like to represent certain analytics. There are certain templates with fair elements like the analytical page or the overview page where you can showcase different analytical charts. But then if you wanted to really look at historical data and run certain forecasts or predictions, then SAC is the tool which offers a lot of features on top of it.
Okay,
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Naveen.
great. Thanks, Satish, for the question. Thanks, Kader and Naveen, for responding. If you guys have any additional questions, we do have a couple of minutes left before we end our session. There is another frequently asked question that customers usually ask. Excuse me. What is the high-level architecture supporting time series forecasting?
Yeah. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So for the time series forecasting, when the user runs a forecast on a time series chart, the data for the chart is obtained from the customer on-premise or a cloud database as normal for live connection. So the steps are: the web browser client send a copy of the chart data back to SAP Analytics Cloud backend system. Then the data is temporarily stored in a table in SAP Analytics Cloud backend system while the forecast is being run. After the forecasting algorithm generate the forecast data point, the temporary data stored on the backend system is removed, and then the forecasted data point are sent back to the web browser client and displayed to the chart.
Okay.
This is how.
Excellent. Excellent. Thanks, Kader. So I've put Kader's and Naveen's contact information in the chat. So if you want to reach out to them after the session is over, if you have any questions after this, you can most welcome to reach out to them. We are at the top of the hour. Thank you again, Kader and Naveen, for a great session. Hopefully they've answered your questions and maybe provoked a couple of new questions. So please feel free to reach out to them or reach out to me. And again, thank you for joining us. And join us again next month. Actually, in a couple of weeks, we're going back to our regular sequence. So the next session will be on the first Wednesday of February. I believe it's the February the 6th, I believe, is the next. The 7th. February the 7th will be our next one, which is in 2 weeks, and we'll go back to our regular sequence. And with that, have a great morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you're located. And talk to you guys next month. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
You.
Take care. Bye-bye.